Hey guys, it's your girl Kizzy Rock, and yes, Kizzy Rock is my birth given name. Happy Thursday morning. I want to say hey to all my subscribers, new as well as seasoned. I got a word for you. Tap in, honey. I've given birth. Your girl has given birth. You have given birth. Yes, you're 84, honey, but you have given birth. I'm going to tell you guys about that. But really quickly, I want to speak about, and this is something I actually got on the nature trail as well as what I'm about to say. But I just want to say this. The goal is to not just get fit. It's to stay fit this time. I'm speaking more so less about, of course, working out and keeping yourself fit. But then I got a download that it branches off, because everybody is not in a season where God is really calling you to get fit. A lot of people are, seriously. And like myself, I've been fit and then I went back to having too much fun. I went fit, went back to having too much fun. But in this season, God is requiring you to get fit and stay fit. This is why you now are starting to develop a love for getting fit, where before it was specifically to get fit and you want to look cute in that dress or your wife beater, right, for my guys, right? You wanted to just look good. Where now in this season, God is saying this is now a lifestyle for you. It's a lifestyle for you. So if this does not relate to you in regards to getting fit physically, then it could be for another area in your life. You're just not doing it this time for it to look cute on paper. This is now a lifestyle of change for yourself. So yeah, honey, I've given birth, you've given birth. All right, so I was on the nature trail this morning, right? And typically I would listen to just whatever, just some maybe some worship music, or just motivational videos, or just even songs, honey. Right? I'd be turning up on it. But this morning, when I got out of my truck and I was like, okay, what am I going to listen to right now? Let me see who's on right now, the people who I listen to. But then I heard the Holy Spirit say, no, I want you to walk in silence. And I'm like, Lord, I plan on being out here an hour today, right? I mean, I can't have no motivational videos, nothing, right? But when God is calling you to complete silence, He really wants to give you a download. It's great to have that motivation stuff on, right? Because it really helps you get in gear. But sometimes, remember, working out or staying fit is not always about the physical, right? That's the benefit. But it really, really, really helps you spiritually and mentally, right? So there's sometimes God want to get a word to you. So you know how you have a dream, and then the dream wakes you up, and then you forget about it, and then God bring it back to, well, see, that's the whole thing. Because how many times do we have dreams and it never comes back to our spirit, right? But because I had a conviction to bring it back to my memory, I remember the dream from last night. And I'm not a dreamer like that, right? I know some of you guys are dreamers. I'm not a dreamer like that. But honey, I woke up in a panic because I had this baby, right, sitting on my lap. And the baby was not like a newborn. He was maybe like 8 or 9 months. It was a boy. He was like 8 or 9 months, right? You know, at that point, they can pretty much kind of sit up a little bit themselves. And this baby was just, the baby had the biggest eye. And the baby, I couldn't understand why the baby was so fat. So this baby was, I'm talking about rolls and rolls and rolls and rolls of fat. And I couldn't get it because I'm like, Lord, this ain't even my portion. Like, you've never given me, I love children, but I've never, ever, 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 ever had a desire or a feeling to have children. But God have given me that desire in other areas, right? For some people, being a mother or a father is literally your calling, where my job and my career and my calling and my purpose is my calling. So it fulfills me in the area that maybe your children fulfills you, etc., etc. Remember, I'm cut from a different cloth, right? So I woke up in this panic like, look, what is this baby doing on my lap? Who baby is this, right? Honey, I ain't got time for that, right? So this morning, as I'm in my solitude, and God brought the dream back to my spirit, and I'm like, yes, God, let's talk about this, because you know. So the thing hit me that I never saw in the dream that I gave physical birth. Like, I was not in labor, nothing. I woke up one day and there was a baby sitting on my lap. And I was like, God, please allow the Holy Spirit, please, to break this thing down, because, right, I didn't even see myself giving birth. I just woke up to an 8-month-old with big eyes and 50,000 rolls of fat on him. You ever see those videos that kind of float around social media? And I've seen it a couple of times where there was an Asian baby, but I mean, they're real big. I mean, seriously, where some people are commenting saying like that's unhealthy, etc., etc. Like, the baby was that kind of big, but it was a chocolate baby with big bright eyes. And I couldn't even pick him up. So I was like, God, but I didn't even see the birthing process. And he said, because you've already given birth. And then it hit me like, wait a minute, you're right, because who wakes up and just have this Samu wrestler on their laps and didn't give birth? Because you've already given birth. You've birthed your baby. You're already in due season. And then you say, share it with your peoples. And that's why I'm here. So in saying that, being a person who God has literally manifested, God has manifested everything he said. There's a couple of things that I'm still waiting on to really touch it, but it's here, right? But when I think back on my life, every single thing that God has promised me has manifested. But here's the kicker. Same thing for you guys. So I want to try to make all this make sense how I receive it in my spirit. When I think, and I'm going to use one for an example to make it make, I guess, logical sense. Okay, so I'm going to use my house for example. I got to a point, well, first of all, I don't like a lot of chaos, right? I just like city life. My anxiety just be anxietying, right? I need some solitude. Right? Again, I know I don't look like that, but I'm telling you, I'm a chill type of person. So I asked God, I said, God, I want a house that's the country feel, the rural feel, but I don't want to live in the country. I still want to be close to the city because I don't want to drive 20,000 miles to get to a grocery store, etc., etc. So anyway, saying that, I made it clear to God. See, you have to be clear to God what it is that you want, but it has to also align that with his will for your life. So this is why with some of you, some things have not been released yet, or it doesn't look that way because you haven't been clear. You got to be clear about what you want. So it's like, God, I want a country feel. I'm talking about country, right? A country rural feel, but still in the city. After I said that years ago, guess what I was doing? I was too busy looking for houses in the city. And I would get frustrated because probably 20 different things didn't work out. Let it be, I found one that I really like, even though it wasn't in the country, but I wasn't thinking like that, right? We ask God for things and then we backtrack. And then it would be a developer who comes and buy out the whole wherever. And so you get your hopes up, you get let down. You get your hopes up, you get let down, right? And when you have that happen one too many times, you just become hopeless, right? Hopefully that's not the case, right? Because you always want to still be very determined, even when you feel hopeless, because if God said it, it is, point blank, period. And then one day, after just being let down 20,000 times, and I honestly, now I think back on it, I was just about to go back and settle. I'm like, well, you know what? I'll just go ahead. It don't have to be the country. And that's not even who I am, right? I don't settle. But let me just tell you, honey, you just get to the point, right? But God won't even allow you to give up on yourself. So I was like, I'm gonna just settle. All right, this is a nice house. Yes, it's people all around the places. The houses are so close together, but it's a very nice house. And I'll just settle. Boom, rejected. So I said, well, it is what it is. I'll just stay where I'm at. I'm done. And soon as I came up with that mindset, someone called me. I wasn't even calling these people like I was calling them before. This person now called me. But you know, when you done been rejected too many times, you don't even want to get your hopes up. It's like, well, I'll come see if I already know, you know. And that's exactly what happened. But fast forward. When it was all said and done, God gave me exactly what I asked for. A house in the country. I got freaking deers on my front porch. I have baby fawns chewing on my flowers. But I'm still close to the city. Years later, I got a download just yesterday that we as people don't even realize that God has literally already birthed many of the blessings that we ask for. Here's the issue. Arriving to the blessing was so stressful, right? We take so many hits, we take so many delays that when the blessing presents itself, we're not being intentional about tapping in to really realizing, oh my God did answer my prayer. Even when I was all over the place, even when I was trying to make the wrong decision, all I'm focusing on is the rejection and the this and the that and the emotions of it all, which is a trick of the enemy to make you not even realize and focus on, to be intentional about the fact that God manifests the very blessing that he said he would. So many of you are already in due season. But again, as I always say, there's different levels in due season. But be careful that you're still not, quote unquote, well, not quote unquote, that you're still not warring in the spirit. You're not fasting for an answer, because all you just being hungry for no reason, right? Fasting for an answer that God has already given you. That you're still not frustrated and feel like you're in a season of delay, etc., etc. And the truth of the matter is, the blessing is already here. Even if it's not physically in your hands, it's here. So now you got to start living like it's here. So the trick of the enemy is, because you can't physically touch it, it's not tangible yet, you believe that it's not here. You believe that you're not in due season. You believe that it's not yours, when in fact it's already yours. So the enemy will play in your head and start sending you all kind of counterfeits of all sorts. So now you're going back and touching or attempting to touch counterfeits because you feel like you're still in a season of delay. And all this time God is watching you. What you gonna do, boo? You're already here. It's here. Do you receive that it's here? So I need your everyday actions to align. Why are you backtracking, right? And many times backtracking just really just trauma responses, trauma triggers, trauma responses. So you feel like because you can't physically touch it, somebody's holding something from you, God is rejecting you. So now it's easy to go back to what's comfortable because you can control the narrative, right? But you can't control this. That's the uncomfortable part about it. You can't control it. You just have to have faith to know it. The spirit, I was speaking to one of you guys about this via email a couple of nights ago. And we were just speaking about how this is why a lot of the times when God gives you something and you know that you know that you know, because it's in your spirit, right? That it's best not to even speak on that thing. Well, what she was telling me was that it's important for her not to speak on it because, quote unquote, people will think you crazy, right? Which is absolutely true. Because it's spiritual, it's supernatural. Most people are surface level, so they're thinking on the lines of what they can see, etc., etc., etc. But what God gives you, it's in your spirit. It's supernatural. You know that you know that you know that you know. You can't even get away from it. When you try to get away from it, the confirmations keep popping you upside your head. The convictions keep popping you upside the head. Right? You get to the points where you don't even want it no more because you try to walk away. God bring you right on back. You ain't going nowhere. So what she said is absolutely true, but also it's important not to speak on it, because when you start speaking on it and people can't receive it for different reasons, then they start speaking certain things to you. Like, there's no way in the world I don't think God would do that. I don't think. And before you know it, that stuff gets right on up in your spirit, right? You got to just know that you know what God said. Because if God said it, it is. My friends, welcome to Due Season. You've given birth. It's your girl, Kizzy Rock.